All right, welcome. Anybody who was on the Covenstead last night will have noticed I suddenly disappeared. We had a storm, it knocked out the power again. This is 2 nights in a row now, and it's the next morning. It is now 9:15 in the morning, and it's still not on. They are still fixing it. Um, but there were still a lot of questions after I disappeared. So what I did, I copied those, and I'll go through those just to, you answer them. All right, so I do apologize for just disappearing like that. Not much I could do really. Okay, so there was it was from James regarding the Discord server. James, I will check on that as soon as my power is back on and my internet's properly working. Um, as I said last night, I couldn't really find you in the list of users. It just had a J dot 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 dot. I thought that might be you, but I'll see if I can get that sorted. Otherwise, just message me on Discord itself privately, and we'll sort that out. Tracy, I'm intrigued by the thought of just talking with the gods because why should a god give a damn about me? This is actually something that's been debated for a long time, is that, when we think of the deities, a lot of people, and I find it myself with Hecate, she's a very kind of motherly figure. Um, but at the same time, she actually really doesn't give a shit. The gods just don't give a shit, really. If you actually really have a look at it. So, you've got on the one hand, they're not human, they don't have egos or anything like that. And I think that's probably where it comes in, that they do not have ego. We could argue that even actually, because they do, we can actually argue that the deities, the gods, the daemons, the fae, etc., all the spirits, they do have communities. Um, so in that case, I mean, they have war and they have all of this stuff, so they could actually have ego. Keep saying they don't have ego, but I think in some instances it could be argued they do. But if they don't have ego, this is probably where the idea of they just don't care because they have no ego to care. Um, but at the same time, a lot of people interact with their deities and they find they are loving. They are loving towards them. So it's a bit of a difficult thing, really, and I think it again comes down to how you personally interact with them. Um, but yeah, I really don't know myself. That's one of the things I'm still constantly examining to try and figure out, and I can't really figure it out. All right, Kenneth, the spirit box is interesting. Damon Brand does the same method with a notebook in his magical cash book method. You make this magic notebook to a moon daemon. Kind of neat. Yeah, his magical cash book was to I've forgotten the name. Begins with an N. Um, it's from the new Avatar power, and previously from Heptameron, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Connolly also did a similar thing with the Book of Agaras. I have recently started doing something similar. I've gotten half of the thing written, and I kind of need to finish it. I got the main bulk of it written anyway, and uploaded to Patreon. But basically, it's you actually take a notebook, and you instead of calling an external spirit, you actually summon the spirit of the notebook itself to actually work with you. So slightly different but similar concept. But the spirit box itself, I was talking about this last night. I originally got the idea from Aaron Leach, and he actually made this in reference to the African fetish, where they actually take sort of a wooden iconography or icon of a person, very kind of rough and raw and everything else. But and then they actually usually worship it or speak to it in regards to it being an ancestor, but they will sometimes call a spirit into it and things like that. So you've got that idea, and you'll find this kind of idea all over the world in different cultures throughout history. Calling something into an item, and quite often a statue. You find it in Hinduism with when the Hindus do puja. They'll actually enliven the statue of a deity, and it's quite a thing to experience. I've done it myself with this Ganesh. I've got it right here. My little Ganesh statue. It's actually more of a wall plaque, I think. But I actually did a puja with Ganesh and enlivened it, and it doesn't like move around or anything, but you can feel something different. And it kind of, as you're gazing at it, it kind of shifts and changes. It's not sort of as static as usually is anymore. So you've got this idea throughout various cultures and stuff. Moving on to Morgan. If you work with one money spirit, say Mammon, is it insulting to also include, say, Boon or Clawneck? Do they get insulted if you call on another spirit to, sorry about the bikes going past. Do they get insulted if you call on another spirit to assist or lend their energy to the working? You can. I've done it myself with if you go into the memberships, but if you want to join, go on to Patreon. Uh, I'm trying to move everybody across to Patreon. There's the Egregore project, and that's actually the first one I actually did. And back then it was called the Demonic Wealth Web because it was just supposed to be working with Belphegor in helping people with doing a ritual once a month or something to help with bringing money in for people. And it got then extended into different deities, but that started out Demonic Wealth Web. And it was there's four different spirits there. There is Mammon, there is Clawneck, there is Belphegor, there is Belial. I'm missing one. I can't remember. I've gone through in a different order. That's why. Uh, Beelzebub. That was the other one. Um, and yeah, so you can. But I was going to say, but at the same time, just make sure that the spirits you're working with and calling in at the same time do work with each other and they work with each other well because you can get a clash sometimes. So yeah, just make sure that that's not going to be a problem. Let's see, and then Kenneth was just saying to Morgan, kind of puts more hands in the pot than needed. It's actually a good way to work in many respects because it kind of creates a team of spirits that you can work with, and each spirit like sort of handles a different part of the project itself. I enjoy working that way. Dragon, can you use the same altar for multiple entities, be they gods, elementals, angels, and demons, and others? Yes, you can. Coming back to the previous question there, you can put multiple spirits on the same altar. The thing you're going to want to do though is just introduce them one by one. So work with one spirit, on your altar, give offerings and all of that stuff, prayers, whatever you do. Do that for a while and just sense that energy, feel that energy, and then introduce another one and see if they get along. If they don't get along, then you're going to have to separate them, keep them separate. But just keep doing that if you're doing multiple deities or multiple spirits, then just keep doing that. And if they all work together, great. If one comes along and all of a sudden the energy just feels off and weird and combative and rough and all of that stuff, then just take that one out again and then see if the energy goes back to normal. And then you may need to put that particular spirit on a separate altar. Some of them work together, some of them don't. And this isn't a case of demons versus angels and things like that. Demons don't work with angels. They do. They can do very easily. But it's just a case of do their energies work together, and this goes across the board. You may find that a god from one pantheon will not mix with another pantheon, whereas even gods from the same pantheon may not even get along. So, keep all of that in mind and just do it slowly, and you should be okay. Jason, hello, Jason. I feel like I'm on the live again. Right. I'm trying to find personal experiences from people who have worked with Eris on, well, anything, because the law gives a very negative story, but her presence seems to have much more than the negative seen in law. So it doesn't hurt to ask, have you done anything with Eris? Not really directly. There was a period that I kind of had a look into Discordianism, just felt there wasn't enough information there, and therefore I didn't pursue it. And therefore I didn't pursue Eris. She is the goddess of discord. But when it comes to mythologies, you're going to have some of the deities or spirits that are have a kind of a negative perspective on them, whereas the other ones have a more positive one. And it's just this tension and this duality that gets created because in order for something to become balanced or come into equilibrium, you've got to have these two parts that can come together. And when it comes into the mythology and storytelling, there's all reasons why, these things are told the way they are. But even these entities, the spirits, the demon, or the deities that come across as negative and have this whole negative approach or negative perspective on them, they also need to be honored because they are part of the entire process. So, don't leave them out just because they have this negative thing. If you want to work with Eris, because she is the goddess of discord, then work with Eris for that reason. There is that aspect that we need in our lives sometimes. Excuse me. But yeah, don't disregard something just because it's viewed as being negative. It is a part of the entirety of existence. And then lastly, Morgan asked, what was the author's name for the book Kabbalistic Concepts? That was a William G. Gray. And you'll find it under, it's not the Jewish spelling of Kabbalistic, it's the Hermetic spelling with a Q. Kabbalistic Concepts, William G. Gray. Yeah, this is in reference to the embodiment of the archangels. I think he used the term homunculi. So you create these like kind of vessels, but humanoid type of vessels, and then you call in the energy of the archangel, and you fill that vessel with each one, and then you have the four guardians standing at the quarters. And I thought it was just a really good approach to that particular aspect of working with the archangels and specifically as the guardians of the watchtowers. So yeah, give that a shot. All right, and that was it. I don't know if there was any more after that. This is where my power cut off. Again, I do apologize. I hope everybody who was on the live last night does see this and can fill in the gaps. All right. So I will see you next week though for another live Covenstead. So see you then. Cheers for now. Bye bye.